welcome to today's Fireside Chat, planned under Credit Goes to Her. This is the initiative and the community created by CRIF India to spotlight women in credit and BFSI. Their perspective shape the future of financial services, and therefore, to amplify their voices and celebrate their journeys is the main objective for this community, right? And we are all happy to be part of this community. As we prepare to launch our first regional chapter in Kolkata, today's conversation serves as a precursor to that milestone and featuring one of the city's leading voices in data science and analytics. Please join me in welcoming Rituparna Bhattacharya, Vice President, Data Science and Analytics at Bandhan Bank. At Bandhan Bank, she's a distinguished professional with over 2 decades of experience in this field of data and analytics, right? That is a pioneer, a must-have business unit leading to AI and all the future innovations. Rituparna, ma'am, was with us at the launch of Credit Goes to Her main event, making her part of this community since day one. And having seen the mission unfold from the start, it's fitting that she joins us now for this fireside chat, a precursor to our first regional chapter launch in Kolkata very soon. Rituparna, thank you once again for joining us today. I'll pause here and invite you to share a few opening thoughts with us.
Oh, wow, Kajal. Actually, I should be thanking you first, as you just, gave me handed over this opportunity. So, brilliant initiative, I must say, and probably I'm seeing such things first time happening. So, yeah, it is great, as you just say that briefly. Yes, I'm part of the industry for 2 decades, and interestingly, we've started very vigorously talking about financial inclusion for the last 1 decade or maybe 6-7 years to be very precise. And the interesting part is we all were discussing that, why it should be there and then what should be there. But this is the first initiative that is actually sketching what should be there. So which is the most important thing. So absolutely privileged being a part of this conversation, Kajal. Thanks for inviting me.
Great to hear from you and to have you again, right? To set the context, Rituparna, could you, to begin with, briefly share your professional journey and the key experiences that have shaped you as a leader in analytics?
Okay. Yeah, sure. So always happy to talk about the journey, as a woman. Interestingly, so when I started my career, it was back in 2006-7, so 20 years back. Women participation in such a very, quantitative world was a bit limited back in that point of time. So I still remember that walking into multiple meetings where there are 15, 20 people, all men, and I'm the only single woman, and talking about numbers, trying to really, set a foot there. So it was interesting. Because if you look at the different academic institutions and the very primary premium institutions like IITs and ISIs also, it had quite a very non-favorable percentage towards the women entrant, and that resulted into even a thinner workforce participation in the quantitative, typically the data science and analytics industry. The decision makers, when you look up to, they were all men, so it is not always very easy to take up a decision yourself, because somewhere ingrained in your head is there is somebody else who will take the decision. So not only decision about the career, but also decision about which data sets to relate to, right? We should highlight a process gap, is this the right thing to do? So I would run again and again to the people. Importantly, at one point of time, you find out that whoever is taking the decision, if there is an error, it is you as a person who has to own it. If I'm owning up the error, so then I have to be the person who should take a very strong stand in decisioning as well. So that is how I think the glass ceiling started breaking a bit. Fantastic leadership all throughout my career. I had really, a privilege to get. So yes, but the first thing first is Number one, start speaking more in the meetings. It's important. Trying out and experimenting with the data. You have the power of the data. Do not walking onto the same path that my predecessors have said. They're all men. So bring in some additional intelligence into the room. Because I'm a woman, I belong to a part of the society where things are read little differently. So putting in there, taking more risks. So these are the some of the things, and making errors, mistakes, definitely. It was all a part of the journey, Kejal. So fantastic journey so far, still learning and still walking.
Amazing, amazing. And the points you said, right? In a male dominating, be it education, be it your, specifically engineering or statistical background that you come from. And then ultimately, the message here is be fearless. Don't shy away from making mistakes, own it up, but speak it up, right? Any major challenge that you would have faced and you would have navigated through it, you want to give one example or a couple of conversations in a meeting room, maybe some examples that you can share with our audience?
When you start as a junior member, you will find some patronizing, participants inside the meeting room who will interrupt you and then say, what she means to say is this. So the one thing is very important, that yes sir, thank you so much, but I'm really able to explain myself. So what happens is sometimes we go on hiding behind the shield that, okay fine, let him talk on behalf of me, because if I'm not making any sense, he's going to take the heat. So that is a protective attitude, I would also say, that sometimes women tend to really ask for. So that is a thing, and but that slows down, the visibility creation in terms of when there is a opinion that yes, we are providing in the rooms and everything. So that kind of curbs it down. But this is one thing. Second thing was even more interesting. It is like, I found a lot of male colleagues who are extremely supportive and very caring. Sometimes the care thing, it goes on a very positive bias. Things like, you know what, this project will take a little bit of a longer time, so maybe a night stretch. It might be difficult for Rituparna, so we can take it over. It might take 10 a.m. in 10 p.m. in the night, or even 1:30 a.m. In the morning. So you don't worry, you go home, you sleep, you have rest. We can take it over. This is another very interesting part. We all know that, yes, there are some difficulties or challenges for us in terms of commuting. Not all the companies provide a proper transport. It's not possible. So you have to manage something on your own, and somebody is offering such a help. Sometimes we tend to really accept it, but it's important to also, reflect that if there are any alternatives, I can still a bit be a part of it.
Very, very relevant pointers, very valid points. Rehearse your points, but yes, make sure that you make a point in any meeting. Yeah. So brilliant takeaway from this one. And now, building on your journey, I would now like to shift our conversations to how analytics is shaping credit, right? Particularly for women borrowers. And keeping that in mind, I have some questions around. We all know that traditional credit scoring often misses the financial behavioral pattern of women. It is tend to be generic. It is as we were discussing also in the few minutes back in the background. Any personalized offers, anything, any data patterns will related to women is important, right? And especially first time or thin file borrowers, when we talk about women graduating out of college, or want to start have her own startup, right? From your experience, which alternative data signals have proven most meaningful in assessing women borrowers? One is for existing to credit, of course, but even for new to credit, what are those additional alternative data points?
Couple of things, as you very rightly pointed out. So we have a concept of being gender neutral, right? Gender informed credit decisioning. So this neutral system sometimes cuts us apart from the structural realities that exists with a woman borrower, right? The way she participates into the economic ecosystem. So we can call it gender neutral because we are just not using the gender as a variable or a feature in my modeling, but that really does not make the entire model real gender neutral, because there are a lot of other features which are very close proxy probably towards that gender reality, the way our society is structured. So some of the alternatives that we can look upon, I think some of the organization have already started. Cash flow consistency, right? So now we have this the privilege to account aggregators, the payment network datas, right? Some of the GST level data as well for MSME or small capital initiatives. So these there the women, there are a lot of schemes available from the government where the women enroll. So you can identify that which organizations are typically led by maybe the women board of directors or women entrepreneurs. So if I can identify that and if I can really analyze this kind of information, so how women are participating into the economic ecosystem. So cash flow consistency is very important. How the money is coming, where it is staying, where it is going, and what is the typically the frequency in which it is coming and going out. For a retail kind of a customer, I would say kind of things like the bill payments, the utility payment behavior. We talk about it lots, but even today we are really not using the full potential about out of this utility payment behavior, which women they do a lot because sometimes or most of the times they are the running member of the family in terms of the family level operations. Third important thing is again retail as well as MSME for a bit more marginalized, or the population was setting a little bit aside the macro streamline. What we can say is the informal asset building behavior. Right. So how women are building assets. So women assets will not always reflect in a piece of paper or maybe in terms of the bank account. So this is something which is a complete gray area, because unless it is reflecting in a proper data ecosystem, we'll definitely not be able to capture it. But this is, I think, in top of my wish list, if some system comes up by which we can actually assess the informal asset building behavior of a woman. Say, for example, in a village, how many cows the women she's having, right? Or maybe how many small mud rooms she has been put in over the last 2 3 years. Important aspects to the asset building behavior. And very important point again for towards the across all community, and which kind of surprises me a lot, is the digital engagement that we are seeing from the women community these days, right? So I don't think we were expecting that height of digital engagement coming from women across all age groups and economic sections.
So that bang on, right, Rituparna? So it's all about alternate data that you can gather in various shape and form, right? And especially that will add on and give you a clear signal that you want to take a customized decision, and especially empowering women borrowers. Absolutely bang on. Now, my question again, keeping that in mind, once the women borrowers are onboarded into a formal credit system, right? The one is at the time of onboarding, post onboarding. Do you observe any distinct repayment usage or life cycle patterns that you would have noticed in your analysis, in your post onboarding or portfolio management kind of activities that you would do? And how does analytics help identify and act on these insights? Once you identify, have you taken any actions? What, want to understand that as well. It's
Sure,
easy
no.
for you to do as well, right? To implement. Yeah.
Sure, no, absolutely, absolutely. This is a wonderful topic to talk about, and loads of opportunities there we can do as a collaborative approach from analytics business and definitely entities like you. Once the women borrower are on board, and interesting performance behavior is stronger repayment discipline that you can. I think there's a very interesting study released by CRIF only, that it distinguishes very explicitly that how the repayment behavior across all sectors by women are much more stable and steady as compared to the men borrowers. So this is a very strong point, but there is another side of it as well. So as we can see women more resilient about the payment, sometimes the women borrower are more conservative around using up the credit line utilization, right? So a bit more kind of flatter in terms of using up the credit line. So there, the challenge sometimes come up is in terms of the credit line increase. So how do you intervene? How do you really create a kind of the engagement momentum going on, right, with the women borrowers? So there are a lot of works to be done there. So sometimes maybe they are a little bit taken aback, or and interestingly, there's a reality typically from the microfinance market. There are ample opportunities that the loan has been actually taken up by a man, but sometimes it is signed off by the woman of the family, right? Because that is how the loan is designed, the policy is designed. So in such cases, women have very less control on the usage of the loan. But where you see the loan has been taken by the woman primarily, it's interesting. Another feature you will see very clear purpose of the loan defined. So why she's taking the loan is much more clearer, much more purposive, and very delivery oriented. So I delivered, I took the loan for this and this so and so things. I delivered, I'm paying you back the loan. So pretty decisive, pretty delivery oriented. And this is for individual women's. Plus, right now, the booming section is the SHGs. So where you have definitive small commercial goals as well, right? So again, for women, when they're borrowing, you will see very delivery and purpose oriented things. I think at the same time, what we are still lacking is having a robust financial advocacy available into the system. So right now, for as a credit market, we are kind of working as a need supplier. So you have a need, here is your loan. Here is a huge opportunity if we can develop a value added service like the financial advocacy, how you can use your loan better, how you can translate into better revenues. And that is how you can create this engagement momentum, because we know she's a good pair. We know she's a bit of a transactor. So I need a good pair and I need a revolver so that I can make money and I can make a responsible credit solution for her. So that is, I think, where we are lacking here today. And I believe that women learns to or listens to people more. So if we can really create some contextual nudges or maybe some of the support in interventions, if we can plan out properly, it will make a much more purposeful and defined credit market. Safer as well, probably. Yeah.
Very, very valid points, Rituparna.
So by nudges or maybe financial advocacy, I will also add how to keep your financial fitness better. So how to convert your lending towards wealth creation. So these kind of advocacies, if we can pitch in.
Absolutely. Now, so from analytics standpoint, we covered onboarding at the time of onboarding. Any data that surprised you the most, especially in this macroeconomic situation? Do we see that impact at all?
Definitely there is a spike in terms of the vulnerability or maybe the downside risk. So this will be because we are all part of the same society. So delinquency will definitely spike up, be it a woman or a man during a COVID pandemic or the war situation. Yes. Interesting part is the normalization starts faster for a woman. Perfect. Borrower. Yeah. Right, it faster it normalizes. So what we kind of envisage, and that's a small study that I think has been done from this organization itself, an informal survey kind of a thing, which revealed, and this was done some time back. I was just reading through some old articles that it's kind of sometimes that women, they are prioritizing the credit obligations better under stress. The key here is the alternative asset buildup that she has already done somewhere, maybe under her bed, or maybe, I don't know, in terms of in form of some cattle or maybe some mud houses, etc. She's actually sometimes liquidating or using them to pay out some of the bigger debt parts. So it's even more important. That's why it comes again and again, comes up as a very important point, that this alternative asset building. this parameter has to be captured efficiently, which will strengthen my credit decision as well, because this is playing a key role in terms of settling the debt.
Absolutely. So the key, what I get from this is identify structurally stable female borrowers from the ones who might be sloppy payers, maybe due to lack of, financial dynamics or literacy, or, what are the, downfall of not paying on time, etc. Right? Could be the mix of two. But if we are able to differentiate the two through through certain data points and past patterns, I think we
Yep.
can make a very strong, clear, analysis out of it. And now looking ahead, if you had to pick one analytics capability that could
Mm.
most meaningfully transform access to credit for women borrowers over the next years, just one, any one. I think we've discussed multiple. What would it be and why?
Okay. I will stick to the first point, the cash flow analytics. So account aggregator, the cash flow analysis, understanding the payment network, and because we are now depending more and more on digital mode of payments, so there is no excuse that, oh, I don't know how she's paying because it's all cash. No, we know that we can track the footprints right now. So where she's paying, how she's managing her life event intelligence. So if we can kind of get a hold of that, that will be my top priority around it. How best we can do the cash flow analytics, not only to
Yeah.
define the cohorts, but also to take analytical decisions out of it.
Yeah, I think it's the lowest hanging fruit, can be easily
Yes.
implemented. Yeah, makes sense. Perfect. So this conversation so far gives a very strong view of how analytics can drive inclusion, right, for female borrowers overall as well at scale. I would now like to touch upon the role of community and collective momentum, right? So Rituparna, you have been part of Credit Goes to Her journey since its launch. How do
Yeah.
you see the role of such initiatives, and what impact can communities like this will have on shaping the credit and analytics ecosystem?
No, no, so yeah, so it is, I think one of the most important things that we need right at this moment, because as Kajal, you and me also agreed before the session also started, that financial inclusion, this subject has become a buzzword right now, right? So this is attracting investors into the market. This is kind of giving a better branding to the organization which are following that. So it's everywhere, all over the place. So we have done a lot of discussions around how what to be done, kind of how this can be achieved, and then there is kind of why this is needed. Lots of discussions and everything is kind of happening. Where we really need to step up now is what needs to be done. So definitive action points, and here comes these kind of community initiatives. These are getting very very important because as I was privileged to be a part of the launch ceremony, there was a really very clean, clear and crisp action items I remember that was put on the big screen, and that talks about what, that talks about bringing people from different parts of the ecosystem, the banking ecosystem. So lenders are there, borrowers are also there, fintechs are there, and then the credit decision making entities are there, the practitioners are there. So all of them coming together and then taking up one decisive action point for them. So lots of ideas have already been done. So now it is important to make the talent into practice. Having said that, important part of the way this particular initiative is going on. So it has a very clear cut plan and actionable this, I would say drafted along your line. If I talk about so many stakeholders, the community size will increase. We have a lot of stakeholders, we know millions of them are out there. So it's important that all of us have a very specific role to display and specific outcome to deliver at the end of the day. So whatever part, like data practitioner, I'll pick up the analytics part, and then I'll try to support this initiative with more and more data driven answers to this ecosystem. As we said, that not all the data driven answers are ready for you. So we have to kind of explore, and we have to kind of start listing them down. But whatever limited assets we have in our hand, I don't think these are also 100% utilized. So there also, as a data practitioner, my role will be kind of dig deeper and deeper, and then get to the bottom of it, pick up the things, and then put it. So credit goes to her initiatives. Absolute welcome, Kajal. Need of the hour.
Perfect. Perfect. So I think one clear, crisp takeaway from this is it's the time has gone for how and why. It's time to act and what needs to be done.
Yes.
Perfect. Sounds great. Now, to close, I would like to bring the conversation back to you, your learnings, outlook, and advice. One quick couple of questions now. So, who or what has been your biggest source of support throughout your professional journey?
Big support is family, I think, is always there for support. It's a default thing. There is nothing very special in mentioning. It's a default. We take it for granted, right? It's there. For a professional like us, it's very important to find people in the professional space. So I think immediate colleagues. So I really am blessed with finding a couple of immediate colleagues, and then female colleague actually. So very, very kind of supportive, and how to educate each other. Because if you look at it, Kajal, we had people like us who are 20 years or something in the industry. For us, it is a huge transition in the middle. We started with traditional statistics, traditional logistic regression models. Suddenly it changed to our feature engineering, AI, and ML. So a load of learning gap has been there for a significant amount of time. So I think there the colleagues who helped really building me those knowledge, and still, kind of not going off the pace, sailing forward, was definitely very important.
True, very true. And uh, I mean, you covered already, I think partially, but role of analytics evolving in Indian banking, especially banking NBFCs over the next 5 years. What do you see? Where do you see it going from here?
Yep. So yes, I think again, we now have really a huge amount of data and coming in, right? From seen and foreseen, from explored, unexplored, alternative sources of data. At least the potentials have opened, and now we have ventured into this world of AI and ML, where we do have the super capability of processing the data as well. So not only we are kind of have influx of data, we now have the capacity and the computational skills to process the data and coming up to the better decisions. Now, here is interesting. So there is a very common perception that we might sometimes end up to, that if AI takes, so there will be agentic solutions, so we cannot deny to that. A lot of agentic solutions, AI and ML, will take some of the great decisions based on the data. I would see that this will only make the entire process more human, to be very honest. So as and when we use and we leverage more and more machine capability, it's actually making the decision process more human.
Yeah.
Why? Because previously I used to be engaged in a lot of mechanical things, and not really reflecting a lot on the emotional intelligence part or the cognitive part of the stories. But now the mechanical things like validating a model, just, looking at doing a model monitoring on paper, 6 weeks time to do a model monitor. If this kind of mechanical things can be taken over by some of the agentic solutions, and I focus more and more what I missed in the model in terms of more cognitive reflections, the structural realities, and bring those into picture, having more such conversations, casual maybe, to flag upon some of the alternative sources. So things are only going to get more human, definitely not more robotic, for sure.
100%. Very well put up, actually. So you'll add more feedback loops, and the modeling part can be automated, but the implementation part, the business or the champion challenger part will still remain, which you will be the human touch is required. So finally, one advice that you would want to give young women aspiring to build careers in analytics and financial services.
There is, I would say, the one very key thing is, let's not wait for being ready. So typically for women to grow up in the career, sometimes we always wait for the right opportunity and wait for self-certification on when I am ready. So there is actually no such stage like that. We just have to jump into that. Definitely, for jumping, you need to gather some skills. So if you are confident that you can manage those things from a skill standpoint, context, situations, let's not think about it. Let's just jump into that. So very important. I believe that really plays a big role in terms of pushing ourselves up into the challenge barriers. Second important thing, and it's very interesting. It is extremely important to develop a subject matter expertise, right? So we cannot just roam around. Little bit of credit, little bit of marketing, little bit of digital, little bit of this and there. It's very important that I know my roots end to end, at least into one subject. If I can do that, because the risk that I'm seeing right now, the flip side of what I said, that we anyway need to leverage more and more agents and machine solutions to build up our process. The flip side is because some of the complex mathematical works are now done by machine instead of me, do I risk in losing out on the basic mathematical principles behind this decision making? So it is very important, at least one of the things I know in and out. Others will fall in place. If I know one thing end to end, I'll survive.
Now, so I think time to say, thank you, Rituparna. Taking out time from your busy schedule, I'm sure it's not easy. And thank you for sharing your journey and insights with us today. We have heard powerful lessons on resilience from you, analytics driven inclusion, mentorship, and leadership, all of which are central to shaping the future of credit. Very, very valuable insights, and great. And I can continue on, Rituparna, to be honest. I mean,
Oh,
unless a
wow.
nudge wouldn't have come.
You're
I mean,
so kind. You're so
yeah.
kind, Kajal. And thanks to you. So this is really a privilege, and I would really like to use this privilege as much as possible, giving back to this community as much as I can within my very limited capability. So thank you so much. Pleasure is all mine.
Thank you. And to our audience, thank you for joining. We invite you to stay engaged with Credit Goes to Her. We need you, and continue building this community together as we look ahead to launching our first regional chapter in Kolkata after a Mumbai launch. Keep an eye on our community page for updates. This is just the beginning, and many more conversations. And as Rituparna also mentioned, no hows and whys, but time to do. Let's make a difference and act on it. Action, time to act. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Signing off. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Bye bye.
Bye bye.